Would I be the a hole if I send my wife's affair partner's girlfriend evidence of their affair? So he's been married to his wife. They're like in their early 30s, and they have been married for a little over a year. And they've been together for 9 years in total and have a 10-month-old baby. That is so freaking sad. What the heck? So he knows that her behavior was off and something was just nagging him to check her phone. And he's like, man, it just hit me like a freight train. Turns out she met a guy like a week ago in a bar in our neighborhood. And the guy is from our neighborhood too. And he's like, just like a week. And they're like sweethearts. Apparently she went to his place. They like messed around, but apparently they didn't do it all the way. Not that it matters at this point. So he sent himself all the proof, changed his passcode to his phone, prepared divorce papers, and waited. And then she noticed something was off. And she started pushing, right? Asking, like, what's up with you? Why are you so weirded with your phone? And apparently she woke him up one night asking, like, why can't she unlock her phone? And because she was trying to call herself because she couldn't find her phone. And then later she started pushing again. And finally he just like snapped and said, fine, here's my phone. Now give me yours. She gave it reluctantly, but she had already deleted the messages. However, she didn't delete explicit photos from recently shared album on iPhone. So he started asking her about the photos. And she started getting so nervous and making excuses, and I had enough of it. I just dropped her phone and said, I know everything, and pulled all the papers and said, go, be happy, go F yourself. I don't care anymore. He said, I'm livid, I'm lost. She threw everything away for someone she met a week ago? Like, what the F? I bought us a house. I'm renovating that house myself after work, and this is what I get in return? I can't stand her. I'm rethinking filing those papers because of because they have a child. He was like, sorry for venting. Anyways, I'm agonizing over telling this guy's girlfriend about everything. She nearly caught them herself when she found the wife's hair, because obviously, like, dark hair versus blonde hair. And apparently he gave her some BS excuse and she bought it, apparently. And the husband's just like, I'm torn because I just don't want to ruin their relationship. But I feel like him telling her isn't ruining the relationship. Their act of cheating is what ruined the relationship. That's just my personal opinion. But and he said the reason I don't want to ruin his relationship, even though in part he ruined my marriage, is that he actually had moments like, this is effed up. We're gonna hurt everyone. I guess in the text he was saying this. We shouldn't be doing this, but I like you so much, blah blah. So what should I do? Nuke the relationship and leave? I personally, I mean, it's always, I guess, good to say like, no, this is effed up, but when you're still doing it, a lot of people murder and a lot of people, sorry, a lot of people cheat, murder, all these things, and they know it's messed up. So does that make it okay? No, like, you still did it. Okay, like, I know it's not good to run over somebody in the parking lots, but I'm like, if people do it anyways, like, no, that's still your fault. Someone said, do it even though you have a baby. Because do you want to teach your child to put up with a partner who cheats on you? You're torn because you don't want to ruin the relationship. Don't be. He ruined the relationship. He cheated on her. Someone said, DNA your child, man. Who knows the number of guys in line to your wife's open logs? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that. Who knows how many people? Oh my gosh. And someone wanted to know, like, what was her reaction? Like, when you knew everything. And he was like, oh, she started shaking and crying and begging me. Oh. And she woke up the next morning crying, saying she hoped it was a dream. Said she read the papers and it rips her heart out. Someone said, bro, I am not a lawyer and this is not life advice, but F it. They effed around and they effed your life up. It's time to let their world burn. Said it to the girlfriend. F his girlfriend as payback. Send him the video of you effing his girlfriend. Post it all over social media. And where he works, send it to them. Try to try to sleep with his mother. Spit on his father. Take a crap in a Ziploc bag and smash it in her hair. All of it. He and she is lucky. All you're thinking about is telling his girlfriend. And the original poster was like, he said, spitting on his father made me laugh out loud. It's only been a few days, but it feels good to remember how laughing feels. Thanks, man. Aw. Am I overreacting? My date compared me and my friend's body. She said, "Hello, everyone. I somehow have attracted the world's worst man." She has been dating this guy for 3 months, and he makes jokey comments to wind me up a little. So she sends him a nice photo of her and her friends, and he replied saying, "Not in a weird way." He's saying, "Not in a weird way. But how do you and your friends both have big boobs?" So she's been ignoring him and saying, "I don't want to talk to you because that's really weird and upset me." And he's acting like it doesn't matter at all. But she says it's a super weird comment to make. Like, what does he gain from that? Yes, how old is this man? Someone said not overreaction, that's really weird. And someone said, man here. Okay, I'm a man. These are things that maybe you think, but never say, especially to your woman. Like, what the hell? Sounds like he's lustful and maybe a cheater, to be honest. Oh, and someone said, run. She said, I shall. And someone said, I dated a guy who used to love making similar comments, and he was extremely cocky, full of himself, and rude. And honestly, he was really attractive. And I think that's why I liked him in the beginning. But after seeing his rude, shallow personality, it was a huge ick. He became so unattractive. I stopped seeing him eventually. Oh my gosh, someone said no, no reaction. Now you and your friends have to get t-shirts that say chesty besties. We had an amazing wedding, but some people are just unbelievable. So this is a story from like the wife's point of view. So the first thing she states was one of the friends of the husband contacted him a few days before the wedding. So not a lot of heads up to ask if him and his wife could bring their kids. Otherwise, the friend just couldn't come. And the wife states that we already gave the numbers to the caterers, but whatever. And the husband told him yes. And so they contacted the caterers, got it all sorted out. And then the wedding day comes and they're not there. They totally just like ghosted them and they never showed up. And she's like, F them. And then she said the next one is even crazier. She says a family member of the husband was invited, like with a plus one, and her daughter. She contacted my husband and said that she was inviting a female friend as her plus one. Okay, and then the friend also had a daughter who couldn't be left alone, and she didn't have a babysitter. So could we have this woman's daughter come too? Whatever, sure. Okay, that's what she's saying. And then her 6-year-old daughter told my husband that she really wanted to be the flower girl. We hadn't planned on having a flower girl, she's saying, but like she seemed so excited. So I bought her a dress and like got her a basket and with flowers and petals to throw. And when she was getting ready for the wedding, she invited the new flower girl and her mom to get ready with her. And she was getting ready at her Airbnb near the venue. And her husband was getting ready with some of his friends at a different Airbnb nearby. The plan is like her and her husband are going back to the Airbnb that I was getting ready at after the wedding. And we were leaving, and she realizes that she didn't have a way to carry the key for the Airbnb. So the flower girl's mom says she will carry it. And she's like, this is important for later. So at the end of the wedding, my husband and I are getting ready to go back to the Airbnb. As I mentioned, the flower girl's mom has the key. Her husband goes to get the key and he comes back looking confused and he says, she says she's coming back with us. What? She told her husband that her plan, was that she, her friend, and their daughters were coming back to the Airbnb to spend our wedding night with us. She said, I paused for like 5 seconds before I said, absolutely not. So she said no. And so the friend started crying and said we were throwing her and her daughter on the street. And her husband told her to go to her mom's house. And she said she couldn't because her mom wasn't expecting her. And the wife is like, well, neither were we. The husband paid for a hotel room for them. But then she's like, the woman said the single room wasn't enough for all 4 of them. But apparently, she was like, the Airbnb was enough for all 6 of us. So the husband had to pay for 2 rooms. And then she was like calling the husband repeatedly, 7 a.m. So finally, it's the next day. And, they're just thinking, oh, maybe they just want to stay in the hotel longer. So we're just ignoring her right now. But we found out afterwards that she actually stole a wedding card from the reception. She's like, okay, we are pretty easygoing people, but this really tested our limits. And apparently she has ended her relationship with her because it was just too much, which I completely agree. Someone said you both need to learn to say no. People are walking all over you. And someone said, oh man, the no show would have really made me mad. And the second story is absolutely ghastly. Am I saying that right? Am I the a-hole for refusing to apologize to my mother-in-law after I hosted a casual Christmas dinner that offended her? So there's a couple. Okay, they're in their mid to kind of early 20s. And they had just recently bought a house. Okay, so this is their first Christmas at their house, and it's very casual. The wife actually had to work Christmas Day. So it was a late dinner, and they're still moving in, so they're still unpacking everything. So they're just using paper plates and everything, no fuss. And they invited her parents and her mother-in-law, so the husband's mom. But apparently, they have been putting off the meeting for a while because her mother-in-law is extremely hard to please and openly dislikes most people. That is what she's saying. So she gets off work and, she goes to her house and she finds out some really like heavy news about her close friend. And her mom noticed that she's feeling emotional. And so she explains like to her that like what's going on and everything. And the mother-in-law was there, had her back turned to her the whole time. And so she walked into the lounge and the mother-in-law was like, "Hello." Sorry. Because she hadn't greeted her fast enough. And the mom tried to explain like, "Oh, she just got some really bad news." And the mother-in-law like didn't like it for some reason and responded by huffing and crossing her arms. And when I say bad news, I mean she explained it. It was like her friend is in the hospital and stuff. Like it's not like, oh, she had a bad day at work. It's like there's some real stuff going on. And from there, she said it just went downhill, and she started listing every single thing that happened. So apparently, I guess her mom offered to bring out the rest of a cheese board, right? And the mother-in-law took it as an insult to her food, which was almost finished, and she acted offended. One of the dogs doesn't like her, and sometimes growls at her when she gets too close. But the mother-in-law took it personally, scolded the dog multiple times, and made comments about the dog hating her. So the wife's dad put prawns onto his plate, and the mother-in-law goes, "Ew," out loud. He offered to eat outside, and she declined. She said it's not appropriate to eat outside when other people are here, and then continued to be disgusted by the prawns. Everyone started eating before her husband sat down. And the mother-in-law like sat very stiffly with her arms crossed, glaring until everyone stopped eating and waited. Many neutral comments were met with negativity. Her mom asked, like, "Oh, is this Elvis Presley? There was a song playing." And the mother-in-law is like, "I hate Elvis." Sorry, like what? Her mom offered dessert, and the mother-in-law abruptly said, "I don't eat dessert." And she was annoyed that we didn't put any decorations up, and we didn't have a Christmas tree. And I mentioned it several times. We literally are in the middle of moving a house. So finally, she leaves. Okay, and the husband is walking her to her car and told her like he just feels really disappointed in her behavior and how rude she had been to the parents, and she cried and said it wasn't her fault that the wife's parents are just like that. The next day, she calls the sister-in-law and completely trashed my parents. She's telling this, calling them rude, uncivilized. And the sister-in-law was shocked because she's met my parents and liked them. And apparently the mother-in-law has done something similar to the sister-in-law's in-laws before. And the husband also spoke to his dad because they're divorced, who was upset and said they couldn't believe she couldn't just be polite for a few hours. And she's saying, "I'm just so upset, and honestly, I just don't want to see or invite her over again unless she can truly apologize and act like an adult." But this is also not the first time she's acted this way. It is so hard because I don't know, like at a certain age, can someone really change? Even if you get an apology, are they just gonna go right back to how they were? And it sounds like the type of person that the mom or the mother-in-law is. It feels like an apology could just be like very fake in a way, like you're just saying it just so something can blow over. It's not a true apology. You don't really feel bad for it. You're just gonna go right back to how you've always been. And someone said, "Not the a-hole. Do you want to continue to enable this behavior with an apology?" And someone said, "You should say, 'I'm sorry. I'm sorry I invited you, and to make up for it, I promise to never make that mistake again.'"